to Nordic Metal Cruise 2019. Yes, we are here on the boat. We are not drunk, we are not even hungover, and we have Evergrey, one of the most, prominent names of kind of a progressive metal. Or is that actually the genre you are defining yourself by?
I don't know. It doesn't bother us, really. Progressive, that depends on how you define progressive. I don't think we sound anything like Dream Theater. Mm-hmm. They're very technically proficient and have a lot of long instrumental sections where everybody can play really well. Queensryche is a progressive band, I guess. I think we have more in common with Queensryche maybe and Fates Warning than Dream Theater maybe or Symphony X. But then again, Iron Maiden has progressive influences. So I don't mind. It's all good.
So since we started so quickly, now we need to do introduction. Who are you exactly, and what is your part in the band?
Yeah, my name is Johan Niemann. I play bass.
Why did you select bass in the first place, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure. It was actually chosen for me when I was in school. I was like 10 or 11, and the music teacher we had at school, he wanted to start a school band, and I was sick that week where the instruments were handed out to the pupils. So when I got back to school, there was only one instrument left, and that was bass. It was like, yeah, well, you're tall enough and have big enough hands. You should play bass. I had no idea what that was. It's like, it looks like a guitar, but it has only 4 strings. Yeah, and you only play one at a time. I win. It must be really simple. So that's it.
Usually bass players, I don't know exactly why, but this, probably know this kind of memes and sayings and whatnot are, bass players, they're just, fill the gaps, they're just, the target of the jokes, they never get the groupies and, all that stuff. Sure. But what in your opinions, is are the weaknesses and the strengths of bass as an instrument?
Bass by, definition in this kind of music or in rock or metal, it's supposed to be an anchor, with the drums traditionally, where the spotlight is more on the vocals and the guitars, so they get to shine more. Basically that's the hierarchy. You get singer, guitar player, drummer, then somewhere down here is bass player, and that makes bass players maybe not, they don't need to know a lot of theory maybe, because it's not needed, because they just follow the guitars, but obviously I do know some theory. I can play, so, but it seems to be the overall viewpoint of bass players that we don't know anything, we can only play one note at the time. Okay, that's fine.
Considering that bass is kind of like the anchor or backbone of the music, how much does it give you the kind of inspiration that now I need to show off, now I need to have some really cool, ideas like bass leads or whatever in the background, or is it just I'm just, building the backbone? How does it feel to you?
It's a bit of both. It's not like I feel a need to impress anyone. I could care less. But I want to play stuff that I want to play for the song. Mike, I saw an interview with Mike Patton, the Fate No More singer, and they asked him about, because he's a very
multi-talent guy.
Yeah, absolutely. He does things with his voice that are
crazy.
Yeah, a lot of different stuff, and his answer was you do what the music asks you to do.
Kind of demands.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought that was great. It's you listen to the track and you go, well, I feel like this track needs, or this section of a song needs just one note, and then maybe there's a more melodic section where you can do something, more creative. So you can do both. And I don't want to, step on any toes or play a lot of stuff just because I can.
Not for the sake of it.
Exactly. Just, I can play a lot of notes here, so I will. if it doesn't have any musical meaning, then fuck it.
What is your stance about playing with plectrum or just fingers? How does it differ for you?
For me, I play with a pick. I have done for the past, I don't know, like almost 20 years. I was a finger player at first because I loved Billy Sheehan. I still do, Billy Sheehan, and he was a 3-finger guy, just to play fast, obviously.
Okay.
But for me, it's a tone thing. When I started using a little bit of distortion on the bass, I couldn't get the tone I was after with my fingers, so I just instinctively reached for a pick and played a few notes and oh, there's the sound. That's the sound I'm looking for. So I have to play with a pick now, and that's only sonically for me what I want.
How about your studio work? How much it requires you as a bass player, to create this kind of a sound for Evergrey albums and whatnot? How is your work code, so to speak, at studio?
It's pretty simple. For the past 2 records, I've used pretty much the same setup. We get into the studio, we get the drum sound first to get that the basic tracks sound of the drums. Then we do the bass, and yeah, like I said, we've done it the same these past 2 records, where I just plug my bass into. I have a Tech 21 pedal, like a distortion preamp thing. I use that for all the distortion, and I have a clean DI, so I don't use any amps in the studio at all, or even live. So no amps, just that box. It's good.
How do Evergrey albums get born? What is or is there even a same kind of a thing like, hey, we always do this first and then we have that, or do you change patterns between the albums?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different every time. We usually, like most bands, we have album cycles. After one album is done and the tour cycle is done, we look to, okay, when do we want to release the next album? At that point, okay, then we backtrack and go, okay, there we need to mix it here, which means that we have to record it here, which means we have to write it in this time period. Okay, then we need to sit down and go through ideas. And everybody's really creative with songwriting and stuff, so do demos, quite extensive demos, and send that to everybody to have everybody's input on what's good and what isn't. And then we just get together and shape everything into songs, basically, and where Tom and Jonas do most of the production work.
Are you, in essence, kind of a democratic band in the terms of creating music?
Oh, very, very. Everybody is on equal par. It's not like, oh, I write, because I'm the guitar player, I write all the guitar riffs. No, everybody can play. Jonas is a great guitar player, and he has quite a few riffs, and it's very democratic. Obviously, Tom writes the vocals and the lyrics.
Well, with bands like you, I guess, because you're very kind of, like I said, progressive, you're talented, you have lots of details in the music and whatnot. And you, like you said, you also write a lot of music and everybody's kind of participating. Now the question from the fans might be, do you have a lot of leftover stuff, so to speak? And if so, will it be ever handed out in a kind of compilation of bonus tracks, extras and whatnot? Or do you just, let's store this away, this was not good enough for album X, so we might not use it ever again?
Yeah, there's a bit of I think both. If it wasn't used on this record, it might show up on another record if it's good enough. There's a reason why it's not on this record, and that might be because A, it's not good enough, or B, it doesn't fit the theme.
Feeling?
Yeah, the feeling. And then maybe on the next record, maybe it doesn't fit on that record either. And maybe we forget about it and it's never used, or 2 2 records from now, it's like, oh, well, here's a good. Oh, this will be perfect. So it's different. But I mean, we won't release anything just to release stuff, because if it's not good enough, then it's not good enough. You know? We don't want people to hear crap. You know.
Do you ever have the urge to like, I have this really, really cool idea, but everybody's like, no, you can't have it, you're rejecting it. Do you ever have the urge like, well, I'll put this one fine riff, one great lead or whatever, and use into another project? Like, do you have kind of a therapy projects?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we do. I mean, some of us, I mean, Jonas and Henrik have another band called Death Destruction. They haven't really been that active since they rejoined the band, but when they were out of the band, I think they released 2 records, which obviously was more, you know, heavier and more groovy, like kind of like, I don't know, like a Pantera type band. So obviously, if they had riffs that were in that vein and presented that to Evergrey, it wouldn't be right for Evergrey, but it would be right for that band. So yeah, we have our side things where we can get stuff out. That's
any skeletons in the closet in the terms of music?
No.
Feel free to talk about, like, we also have this kind of a non-metal thing which you don't might know about. Like inspirations, source of inspiration or whatever.
Oh yeah, I mean everybody has very big or large taste in music. We like a variety of stuff. Anything from I don't know, obviously the metal stuff as hard as it gets, but also, I mean, Björk or I don't know, anything, classical music or, you know, jazz even. You know,
I'm not really surprised about the jazz.
Yeah, I mean, if it's good, then we listen to it. You know, it could be anything, as long as it's good. You know, country. There are some of us who really like country music. You know, so it's always nice to, you know, when we're on tour, to sit on the bus. We listen to a lot of music. Like, music is on like almost 24/7 on the tour bus, and it, you know, it gets very diverse. So I think that's nice, instead of just blasting metal. Like, yeah, it can get you know, pretty tiring after a while.
Since your music is like filled with details and lots of kind of a technical playing, it needs to sort of kind of a, say, clear and strong sound. You are not just cannot sound Evergrey when things are sounding crappy. So that must create some of the challenges for you touring and doing gigs. So how do you, let's say, how can you say people like, we might not sound exactly the same on stage versus on the albums, but you should come to the gigs because
we're great. No.
No, please.
Yeah. No, I mean, everybody has a certain way of playing. So, I mean, even if, I mean, in this instance, we don't have our own amps with us because of logistics. And so we use rental amps. We rent, for this gig, it's PV 5150s, for those of you who are interested. And Tom used to play that amp, but now they play Bogners, which are like handmade American stuff, like real high-end good stuff. Obviously they have a different sound, but everyone has their own way of playing, so it's going to sound pretty much the same anyway. So I mean, yeah, we don't have our own stuff, but it'll be close enough, you know.
What is your strength in going live? Is it because of the energy or the passion, or is there some kind of magic which is hard to describe when you go on stage?
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously, this is serious stuff for us. We don't go up there and go, even if we do have fun, you know, obviously, otherwise we wouldn't be here. But it's not like we're blowing it away. You know, it's very serious for us. So yeah, it's very passionate, very serious, but obviously, you know, we want to have fun too. So hopefully, you know, that'll be present today too.
Other places which you haven't yet conquered, but you would very much like to do so?
Like countries to play.
Countries, venues, cities.
I mean, I've been to Japan once and played the Loud Park Festival, but I'd love to go to Japan again and to do like a tour, go on the bullet train and just to see the different cities and that kind of culture. I would love that. And I've never been to Australia. That'd be nice. And otherwise, I mean, I'd like to go everywhere I've ever been before. I'd like to go back and play. And, you know, Canada, States, South America, here, you know. I think it's time to go to play Finland again, because it's been a while since we were here. So hopefully we can do a tour, or at least 1 or 2 shows, you know.
Excellent. So before we quit, what are your future plans, like, say, 1 year from now? What's it gonna be?
Well, 1 year from now, that's kind of hard to say.
Well,
but
5 years if it helps.
5 years, that's even worse.
6 months.
6 months. That's this fall. Yeah, well, I can do this year. What we're gonna do this year? We're gonna do a European tour in March and April, so that will be out for like 7.5, 8 weeks. Then we have a few festivals in the summer. Then we're going to the States in September to play Prog Power, and hopefully we can do a US tour or a North American tour around that time, you know, since we're already there. And then I think the plan is to do another European tour before the end of the year. And the plan is also to go to South America, I think. And you know, if we can go to Asia as well, that'd be great. I don't know if that's going to be this year or early next year. That's what I know, or that's what I'm hoping for.
All right, fair enough. So, final words to the fans. What kind of regards would you say to the audience who are like, Evergrey, please come here?
Yeah, if you want us to play in your city, talk to your local promoter, be on their asses, and do your best, and we'll get to your town as well. Thank you for the support. We'll see you.
Thank you very much for your time. It has been a pleasure. So, promoters and active people out there in Australia and Japan, get these guys near you, and you'll have a treat. This is Rauta from Nordic Metal Cruise 2019. See you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I was actually kind of like figuring out whether I should go deeper with the bass stuff about instrument brands and all that stuff, but sometimes I know that people are like